There was a fella born in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, that grew up to be one of the finest dentists that southeastern Kansas had ever seen. A legend. His name was Dave Russell, and he seemed to have it all. A beautiful wife, 3 prize kids, some of the best in-laws a man could hope for, and a thriving dental practice. By all accounts, he was the envy of the town. But that was all before he found himself in a scandal that threatened everything he held dear. His dog, his fishing boat, and some other stuff.
It was a day in the Russell family that will live in infamy.
I don't think anybody saw it coming.
It was devastating. I couldn't believe it.
We were all shocked.
Our lives were never going to be the same. I mean, everything changed that morning. Underneath the crumbs from Dad's breakfast muffin, I picked up the Morning Sun and saw the headline.
He's in the jailhouse now. He's in the jailhouse now. Well, I told him.
Word of the scandal cut through the small Kansas town like a hot knife through butter.
So when you're young, you don't really grasp and understand what's happening. You can just feel something's different.
Got kicked off the cheerleading squad. My mom's bridge club collapsed.
Dad couldn't go to the country club anymore. You know, I couldn't go to the grocery store.
It was like we were living on an island. Nobody's really sure who blew the whistle on my dad.
Do we know today for sure? No. Do we think we know? Yes.
I think it was that Joyce.
He's in the jailhouse now.
While his family dealt with the fallout, Dave was in a free fall.
Yeah, sure, we were all worried about Dad. And you could say he was a little bit depressed, but he had to do something. And like anybody in that situation, he turned to fishing.
Never go fishing with a man who has been drinking, 'cause things just might not work out like you wish. Just leave that fool at home to drink. He was just as happy fishing in the kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish.
I've seen a lot of the fishing world. Dave really knows what he's doing quite a bit. He's got an immaculate boat. I've never seen his credit card get declined at the gas station before a fishing trip. And if you've ever been to a Dave Russell fish fry, you'll never forget it.
How are his actual fishing skills?
You mean the actual fishing part? Yeah. He's terrible.
I never really ever thought it was about fishing for Dave. To me, it was more about power.
So the first time Dave took me fishing, we're out there for a couple hours, and all of a sudden he turns to me and he says, through bartering, I control 95% of the secret fishing holes in this area. And then he says, if you ever tell anyone, I will kill you.
Let the rain drive right on, let the waves sweep along, 'cause I got things.
You know what they say about teaching a man to fish? Dave never heard that one. So he had to fall back on what he knew best, working with his hands.
Thank God for his carpentry skills.
He created something that everybody just had to have. And it was his deer antler pens.
I think I lost hearing for just the constant spin of the lathe.
You know, that sound, it was a happy sound.
The problem, though, was that I really don't know if the pricing structure was right. In fact, I don't know if he actually sold any. I think he just gave them away to people.
It didn't turn out to be a very viable career, but I learned everything I know about woodworking from my father.
Things were looking dark for Dave, but he still had an ace up his sleeve.
We never gave up hope and never lost faith in Dad because he had music.
He had a natural gift for the guitar.
He could play anything.
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Jim Croce.
Paul Simon.
I mean, you name it. His songbook was, it weighed 50 pounds. His first big gig, he practiced for hours. We must have heard the same lick, I don't know, 100 times.
So it turns out that Dave could never actually get a gig because people don't want to hear the opening lick to Blackberry Blossom for 4 hours.
When he lost his music, some say Dave lost a little piece of himself, and he desperately needed something to fill the void.
When his hobbies didn't pan out, he did what I think came naturally to him. He became a Walmart greeter because he loves people.
In constant sorrow all through his days.
He can strike up a conversation with anyone.
The elderly,
Kids.
Strangers.
His in-laws.
Church groups.
I mean, that's the thing about Dave is he just likes talking with anyone about anything.
Unfortunately, Dave's mere presence at the Pittsburgh Walmart caused store sales to drop like a lead balloon. Despite the musky scent of talcum powder and Evan Williams, customers felt Dave's conversational skills fell short.
See, I find that shocking. To me, Dave is so engaging. We could talk for hours about a range of topics and say only 5 words.
You know, even though Dave's a man of few words, it does not hinder his ability to get his point across. I remember I was telling him about a fascinating article I read about in Scientific American one time, and he got up mid-sentence and left the room.
Within the sound of silence.
When a man can't talk to his son-in-law about science, you know something is very wrong. Dave had hit bottom, and depression rolled in like 2 donuts on an axle.
Since the scandal started, there was definitely dark times. Sure, Dad drank a lot, but Mom was right there by his side, drinking with him.
Facing a dead end, he leaned on the one person who knew him best, the light of his life. And that's when it all turned around.
I think it's Mom who gets the credit here. I think it was really, her idea.
Together they came up with this marketing plan, which was brilliant.
He was the first dentist to be sponsored by Levi Garrett. Totally turned business around. People were lining up down the blocks to see Dad.
It was a pretty exhaustive search. I looked at a lot of places, made a lot of phone calls, and then I found him. I found the dentist that would actually work on me while I was chewing, Dr. Dave Russell.
The business turned around, he got his life back.
And, as they say, the rest is history.
So there you have it. Dave Russell, supreme dentist, crafty fisherman, master woodworker, virtuoso guitar player, lover of people. The man that never knew the meaning of the word quit has now retired. So you won't see him at the office anymore. No, sir. Nowadays, you can find Dave Russell in a little place called Shit Creek, looking for his paddle.